What is up? Good evening. It's, what is it? It's fucking August? It's August already. In case y'all didn't know. All around the world. It's August everywhere. It's getting dark here. It seems like it's getting dark here, like way earlier than the progression of the tilt of the Earth should indicate. It's already starting to. It's hot as fuck, but like in terms of length of days, it's already starting to feel like winter. But maybe I feel winter in everything. I feel. I see winter. Even like the hottest day, when I'm sweating my ass off, I'm like, wow, it's really, really hot. This sucks, but it's not as bad as it's going to be when winter comes. And then I can't have any fun at all in autumn. Even calling it autumn, it's like putting on airs. It's fall. The leaves are falling everywhere. That means it's fall. Let me get this open real quick before I continue. Ooh, got my... Don't be looking at my medications. See, I've got my hanky here. Kind of matches my shirt. Because I'm still not... Still not 100%. I'm like 99% now, but I have some... some of that. Which is no fun. Anyway, so yeah, I can't enjoy, everyone is always about, how wonderful autumn is, fall is. It's great, you can go to all these harvest festivals, and it's temperate out, and haunted houses, which I love. I love a good haunted hayride. But it really is all just like, dude, winter is coming. Winter's coming. Winter's coming. We're 2/3 of the way through the year. Almost. What the fuck? It's going to be 2023. We're going to blink, and it'll be 2025. George Jetson, fictionally, George Jetson was born this year. Last month. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm just going to play my Switch game. Just hang out. I'm not even going to, stream it. Just sit here and play it. I'm playing, oh, screw you, man. Look, I'm getting into it now. I'm playing the new Tetris. Right? Which is... Do you remember the old Tetris? Like, Tetris used to be this sort of enjoyable, relaxing experience. Not the new Tetris. Let me tell you. Not this thing. This thing is... It's going to give me a fucking heart attack. Oh, this music is probably going to get a strike here. Is this good? Is this okay if we just do this? I mean, it's crazy. I don't ever remember... Well, I probably never played enough, but my recollection is not that pieces ever fell this fast. Ridiculous. There's nothing relaxing about this. Like, Tetris is no longer... Or this new Tetris is no longer a game that you could play to, wind down for the evening. Fucking makes you mad. Should I stop? I should stop, shouldn't I? Probably should stop. I'm definitely gonna stop in a second here. Ooh, see, like there. I just screwed it up anyway. So seriously, you get one screw up on, I don't know what level I'm on. probably. It feels like a super high level to me. And there's nothing you can do. What it does is sometimes the tempo of the pieces falling changes with the music. So you'll be like going crazy trying to get just clear a single line. And then all of a sudden the music, which is, it's all ambient, it's all relaxing, but you know, it's still like that. It changes tempo and all of a sudden the pieces are falling very slowly. And all these unforced errors that you made, leaving gaps in your structure, you can now start to remedy them. And then a certain number of pieces will fall and all of a sudden it speeds back up. It's like, fuck you. I could tell you were starting to enjoy yourself. That's not what this game is for. If you want that, go back and get the original Game Boy Tetris, or spend 25 cents to play 3 minutes of it. Anyway, episode 77, Beyond the Double Red Doors. Feels like some kind of double sevens. I think I called 55 double nickels on the dime, didn't I? Had to have my Minutemen reference in there. So, like, I know everybody knows the big news that happened this week. Super big news. Somebody guess. Somebody guess what the super big news was this week. Super big news. Hi, everybody, by the way. Oh, look at this. Look at that. Tommy D. Coming out swinging. So sweet. That's so sweet. But he told me he loved me. He told me that he loved me. And then he killed himself. So I don't get it. This is all right. You don't have to. Yeah, I got it. I got it. What did I guess I ruffled feathers. Like I tweeted about this podcast. Or maybe it's because I just called it everyone's an idiot. But everyone is a fucking idiot. But anyway, guess what the big news is this week? Like really, like seriously. It's like huge news. Huge news. Huge news. They got a lot of accounts. I can ban them, but then they probably have a lot of accounts. Let them say what they want. I don't give a fuck. That person knows that I'll be 50 this year. It's hard to get super upset about something that happened 35 years ago. 36 years ago. 36 years, 3 months, and 4 days. Something like that. This is a good guess, Lexi. This is a good guess. That's a good guess. And that is pretty crappy news. I mean, I remember I remember watching Grease and then being super, super, like, into the music and, like, learning it with my sister and singing it, like, dirty parts and all, and not knowing what, no, this is not the news, Nasha, even though you think it might be. Yeah, I don't believe it was a no-knock warrant. It's not a no-knock warrant. I mean, a no-knock warrant, by definition, a no-knock warrant is they just break in, right? But that's not even the news that I'm talking about. It's not what I care about that happened this week. Yeah, Grease is problematic in retrospect, right? But when you're 7 or 6 years old or whatever, and you're singing "She's a Real Pussy Wagon," or the chicks will cream for greased lightning, and you don't know what the hell that means. You're just singing it. You and your sister are singing it for your parents, and they're like, maybe don't say that part. And you're like, why? What's wrong with that? Can you explain to me, a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old, like, what is wrong with saying the chicks will cream? I mean, I can't believe nobody has guessed. Oh, Maddie, I'm okay. Bye. Thank you for coming by. I'm glad that you're here. Oopsie daisy. Oopsie daisy has become like, well, Oopsie daisy was always really, really good with lighting, but like, I think just the fact that like I don't know how often you put out a video. It seems like every other day, maybe. And you do so much work with it that you've just become like this amazing lighting expert. I can't believe that nobody is guessing this. Okay, you want me to? I'll spoil it all for you. I didn't get monkeypox, damn. Hey, Warp Raven and Nico and Mouse Bear. No, the big news is, for me, it's big news for me. Like, maybe it's not big news. No, it is big news for everybody. And I think it has pretty nefarious and insidious and maybe possibly, what other words can I use there? Nefarious, insidious, maybe innocuous, right? No, it's not really innocuous. Amazon bought iRobot, $1.7 billion. I don't know. I mean, some of y'all I know were around the past few years. But I want to say it was like 2017. Maybe it was 2018, but it was no later than that when the people at my work, the people I work with, I work in artificial intelligence and machine learning, we were debating, just talking about like, well, I guess I can't say, well, can I say? I don't know. I have to be careful about what I say. Okay, well, the fact that you don't think this is very big news, Pivy, is sort of like one of the reasons it should be big news. But we were debating how like this idea of responsible AI is sort of ridiculous because you don't know what you don't know, and it's impossible to predict the future uses of data or the future importance of data that may seem like completely innocuous today. And 5 years from now, we may find a really, really great use for that data. You gave up that data in 2014 or 2009 because you could not envisage the kind of future dystopia like in this kind of subversive way. That's like, it's not like, oh, we mapped the speckles of the dots in your iris, and now we can identify you by, using eye tracking and Minority Report or something like that, right? This is something where it's on the surface just seems like, who gives a fuck, right? And that's one of the reasons why like responsible data collection is, I think, a misnomer, or at least misguided, right? Like you can't. I feel like the idea like there's a huge industry in responsible AI at all big tech companies, right? Like you saw that, like, in my opinion, that kind of sort of a headline grabbing buffoon from Google who claims that Google's AI is sentient, and then when asked for proof, he basically just goes into a discourse about the philosophy of what defines sentience, which that person could be making that same argument 50 years ago about chess machines. Like, it's just a level of complexity is really the difference. But anyway, so we were talking about this because we were talking about the idea that like intent matters and intent doesn't matter. And when we were debating this, and it wasn't just us, right? Like, I think the ML community at large was also kind of talking about it at the time. It was like, well, like take for instance, Roombas, right? I don't think, and I don't think that like anybody thinks, I mean, maybe it was like a mad genius, but I don't really buy into most conspiracy theories because I feel like they require a certain amount of elan, not Elon, to pull off. And generally, like, you know, the larger a conspiracy is, the more points it has to fail. And regardless, tangent, the point is, I don't personally think that the designers or the CEO of iRobot sat down in a boardroom one day and was like, you know what feature we need to add to our Roombas? We need to add space mapping. And I see a future. Like right now, we have little diodes that we can see. We can differentiate dark and light, so we can do some kind of primitive obstacle avoidance. I see a future where we have LiDAR, and I see a future where we can have a little robot that moves around your home and essentially maps out your home, saves that data. And you want it to do that. You want it to save that data. Why do you want it to save that data? Because you don't want your Roomba bumping into everything in the world and then running out of battery power too early and having to go back to its docking station, 4 times before it can do a 2-bedroom apartment or whatever it is, right? So that's, I think it's, when you buy a Roomba and you're asked to share the data that the Roomba collects, in fact, I'm not 100% sure that you need to opt in to share all the data that Roomba collects. I think it's just by using it, maybe you agree. I'm sure there's an end user agreement somewhere. California probably pushed it. I had a Roomba a long time ago. It's been a long time, but I don't recall exactly what it is. But the point is that it's getting you to buy into this idea that click yes and your experience will be better. And who doesn't want their experience to be better? And then if you're doing this in 2014 or 2009 or whenever it was, like you're thinking, what possible harm, what harm could this do? Like what's bad, what could be done with this, right? Because at that point, not much could be done with it. And I don't think that the people who designed the Roomba were intending or sort of forecasting this future where they would have like this mountain of incredibly useful data. Like all you have to do now, right? Like you just have to extrapolate the implications of what that means. Like let's throw out the window for now the truth, right, about Amazon's having Alexas. Oh, cool. Oh my God. And you've got you've got a great PFP. Well, if you don't care what I think, you don't have to be here, but I'd love to talk to you about it. But dude, I like your PFP. Or person, I like your PFP. Oh man, all I gotta do is be an asshole to get people to show up. You're a piece of shit, Harry Ellis. Excuse me. So, what are you extrapolate the implications, and let's say, like, I have to say this quietly because I've got one in the room with me. Let's say the ALEXA doesn't exist, which it does. It is part of what they call the Internet of Things, right? A bunch of stuff, a bunch of physical objects, and they're physical objects that you have in your vicinity, in your house, or on you, right? That are edge points and touch points between you and the internet, the interweb, the cloud, whatever the fuck it is, okay? Um, so let's for a moment ignore the fact that when it comes to like the Internet of Things, Amazon's already got a pretty big footprint in most people's houses. And you might say, right, like you could be a person who is like, well, sucks for you, man, because guess what? I don't have any Amazon products in my house. And I don't have like this Internet of Things that you're talking about. I don't have any of those things in my house. So the government doesn't know anything about me, or Amazon doesn't know anything about me. But that's bullshit, because that's exactly what predictive machine learning is intended to do, is to fill in the blanks for those people who don't opt in. So as long as they have a large enough data set, they can, to a super high degree there's a super high percentage of predictability of the same data. Even though you give them no data, they might know who you are. Maybe they know your age. And that's all they know. And they know what city you live in. Like, given those two pieces of information, they can, to like 98% certainty, fill in all the other data points that they could get if you had 20 Internet of Things objects in your house. So it's not really just about like, well, I'm going to live off the grid, right? Like, I mean, if you go live off the grid and you're doing things very, very in a highly idiosyncratic way, maybe, right? Like that, maybe that's different. Build a Faraday cage around your log cabin in the woods and start sending people packages. But my point being that like that you can't escape by just saying, well, I don't have one. I never had a Roomba. And the designers did not, in my opinion, plan for this data to be useful. But so you extrapolate what they can get from this data, and they can basically know to a high degree of certainty, like how many bedrooms most people have, how their beds are aligned compared to the windows. Oh, the windows, you say, but how can they tell where the windows are? Well, they can sense light, right? Like it's not, I mean, maybe they can't do it forever. Hey, you had your curtains closed. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you are one of the outliers whose data does not line up with like the vast majority of other people's data. Machine learning will correct that for you. That is predictive machine learning. That's what it does. That's one of the things that it does. So Roombas now have like maps of millions of apartments, houses, and sort of when we were thinking about this, like way back when, and talking about this, like there were a couple of worst case scenarios. Like the worst case scenario was, well, this data gets sold to the Department of Justice, because take these 3 points. Well, take these 4 or 5 points, right? We have a layout of your house. We kind of know your schedule. We kind of know the things you buy and when, right? We know your age, and you know a lot about your bank accounts, etc. We know where you sleep. Right? We know where your bed is. Right? We have the ability, and by we I mean like the U.S. government, right, has the ability to label any citizen a domestic terrorist. Right? So any U.S. citizen can be labeled a domestic terrorist and be refused the right to any kind of trial or anything like that, right? I mean, technically, although it has not been done, because that would be fucking, or I say it's not been done. Maybe it has been done, but let's say it hasn't been done, because if it got out that it were done, then there would be hell to pay, right? It'd be pretty damn divisive, I would hope, although it might just get lost like in the glut of shit news that's coming out all the time. So we have the ability to label any U.S. citizen a domestic terrorist. And we've been testing out these brand new RX or R9 Hellfire missiles on brown people in the Middle East. And these missiles are really cool because like they're fired from drones, right? So not only are the missiles unmanned, but the things that fire the missiles are unmanned. They cause no collateral or very little collateral damage. They're literally like they're potato mashers. They're like those spinny. I think I'm not gonna do this gesture again tonight, but you know those blenders you can buy that have a little cup on the bottom with rotating blades in it, and you just kind of move it up and down on the food that you want to pulverize. So assume that you are a person who is an ideological threat to the United States government, right? For good reasons. Maybe you're an ideological threat because you are building a huge grassroots campaign. Maybe you are a large proponent of civil rights and you're starting to be recognized and make some noise and people are starting to rally behind you. You're going to want to put some bars on your windows, man. So the worst case scenario that we were sort of envisaging back then was Department of Justice buys this data. I don't really know what I don't know what the rules are around selling. I don't think there are any. Like the way to get around that would be sell that data to a government subcontractor, which, like, if I step outside my house, I see half a dozen of those buildings. Raytheon, BAE, Northrop Grumman, Deloitte. That's the one that Snowden worked for. I'm forgetting the name of the one that Snowden worked for, which is crazy, but they're right around here too. So, and in a way, like, the worst case scenario was, government subcontractor or the Department of Justice. But second worst was always Amazon, right? Because when you buy data, right, you can do whatever you want with that data. You can sell that. You can resell that data. In fact, I think that's what actually happened here. Although, no, I think they actually bought iRobot, which is weird because I remember reading a story several years ago that iRobot had sold their data. And I guess there can be multiple buyers for that data, right? Like, so, and maybe it devalues it a little bit, right? Because it's already out there. But $1.7 billion for a damn vacuum company. And people are all up in arms because they're like, oh, Amazon is going to run all the third-party vacuums out of business. But people should be up in arms because Amazon now knows like a whole shit ton more about you than they did. And if it, their goal here is to further fatten their coffers in this sort of end stage capitalist dystopia that we're in, right? Like the thing is, they don't have to have one goal. They could have as many goals as they want. And one of those goals could be we're going to get rich off it. And another one of those goals is we're going to get even richer off it by selling it to Raytheon. And Raytheon is like, we're going to put this data in every one. Like, this is going to live in every one of our missile guidance systems. So that to me was the big news of the week. Like, I couldn't even like, I didn't really believe it because it was sort of like, and it also feels to me like this was not like Amazon decided 2 weeks ago to buy iRobot. It very much seems to me like this is something that they've been planning for years. Why? I don't know. Just a hunch. That's what I got for that hunch. So, I guess watch the enemies that you make. right? Because I mean, the question is, once when this happens outside of the U.S., it's totally just like nobody here bats an eye, or people bat an eye, and that's pretty much all they do is bat an eye. If it happened here, maybe we'd have to call it a COVID death. Man, I don't know who this troll is, but the profile pictures are on point. I love them. Let your soul glow. I mean, really, like, keep it coming. I'd like to know what else you got on me. I have made enemies, but I don't think I've made any enemies with any sort of clause. So come at me, bro. So that was the big news for me. That was... And honestly, Daryl, if you think that's nonsense, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I don't think that you do think it's nonsense, right? But if you do think that that's nonsense, then you're the perfect. You are the perfect. Yes, Eric LaSalle. You are the ideal American citizen. You're exactly the kind of person we want here. And I'm exactly the kind of person that they want here, because I will vent my frustrations via this sort of, as Daryl, rightly points out, this tiny thing that I enjoy, and I hope that like the people who are here get some enjoyment out of it sometimes. I don't always get enjoyment out of it either, so fuck y'all. But I do that, right? I don't even go to protests much anymore. COVID sort of made me never want to be around people again. Inside, outside, I don't give a heck. Like, I just don't want to be around him. I'm sure you all know, but I tested positive for COVID for 14 fucking days. I still have my last 3 tests that I took. You can see you're not going to be able to see it even here. But they get the line. Whoops. I should have made that camera 1. I don't know why I made that camera 3. I do know why I made that camera 3. You don't need to know why I made that camera 3. But I like this because it's sort of a record of my recovery. The very dark line to the light line and to no line. So I'm keeping these. And the next time I get COVID, I'll put them right there with it. I'm assuming I got BA5. No way to know for sure, right? Mari, you're going to a protest on the 17th. Is it, what kind of protest? What is it protesting? I mean, I have no excuse. I have no excuse. There are protests going on here all the time. And I've gotten complacent. And like, what's better? What is the net difference from a structural point of view, governmental structural point of view, from somebody who doesn't question your systems at all, or someone who questions them by screaming into a pillow and then gets on with their life. There's no difference. There's no difference. In fact, who's the biggest fool here? I may be the biggest fool here, right? Because I placate myself by saying this shit. And even by going to protests, like even people who go to protests, right? Like, depending on the protest, right? If you went to January 6th, right on, brother. Good for you. You show them who really won that election. I do think it's significant that, obviously it's significant that Mar-a-Lago got raided. And I saw like Nasha was like, anti-raiding, which basically I'm anti-raiding too. However, in this case, I feel like it was probably long overdue. I mean, Merrick Garland is such a fucking milquetoast. He's so like he doesn't do anything. So the fact that he did something seems like, well, maybe there was like a really good reason. I mean, we all know there was a really good reason. The question is, did they get it or not? Question is how actually dumb is Trump? Because some of the stuff that he's done, now I don't know if this is him or, his team, but like an argument could be made that the way that he announced that he like went out and just announced to the world that the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, like as if, indignantly, as if it was an affront to the office of the presidency, ex-presidency. Even though it's technically not his home, remember? It is a hotel. For tax purposes, it's a hotel, I think. Or the other way around. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's worthwhile, right? Yeah, this is true, Mari. When you say everything holding back the criminal stuff, Butterfly Composer, what is protecting him right now? He has not announced his candidacy. Like, why? What is defending him from anything right now? Or are you just talking about like cronyism? Oh, look, and now Fairy Char. Look at that. Y'all familiar with the Oddfellows? They're an old-timey sort of Masonic type group in the Northeast that used to exist in the Northeast. I still occasionally come across Oddfellow paraphernalia in thrift stores around here, which is really interesting. You see like the weird sort of ceremonial garb that they used to wear. And since, they still exist, but they're pretty much dissolved. So like all that stuff is just kind of like the kids of all the people who were doing that. It's just like fire sale, right? So there's no real honor there anymore. So all that shit is being exposed. One day that will happen for Scientology. I'm sad that, he is going to announce, most likely going to announce that he's running again. It will be a great way to shield himself, right? He won't have to, he still never released his taxes, did he? He buried his ex-wife on his golf course for a tax break. Like you can go to Mar-a-Lago, you can play 9 holes, you can have a steak dipped in ketchup, and you can visit the former wife of the former President of the United States. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I still have a little bit of that going on. It feels like it might never go away. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Forgot about that. But what are we going to do, right, come 2024? Biden can't run again. He can't. It's either going to be Trump or DeSantis. And against whom? Can't be Sanders. Can't be Biden. I know we've had this discussion before. I mean, I want to believe that. It just seems like he really is kind of Teflon. Right? Like, I mean, people have been saying like he was just about to go to jail for the last 6 years. And nothing ever seems to manifest. Don't fucking say this. Like, this is the most offensive thing that's been said all night right now about a flex exposure. I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate. No. Stop. Biden. Why are you all? No, this is not funny. It's not funny. It can't be Biden again. It can't. He will be the oldest president ever. And he couldn't string a sentence together 3 years ago. Stop this. We don't have to accept it. Here's a suggestion. Elizabeth Warren. That is my suggestion. Let's have a female president. Let's do it. I know we can do it. We can get behind it. She's not so progressive that she scares off classical liberals. Okay. Here's my problem with that. One, it's right. The two-party system encourages waves, right? It encourages a cycle. Like you would think, like if you have two parties and two selections that you can make as a country, that we would have ideologically sort of aligned ourselves more with one than the other after 270 years, whatever it is. That doesn't happen, right? And it doesn't happen in part because when we have people in office who are weak, right? And look, I want, given the choice between a Democrat and a Republican, of course I want a Democrat in office, if for no other reason than the appointing of state-level judges, right? Or, God forbid, Amy Coney Barrett, trips and falls up the Supreme Court steps. Those steps are, that's marble. They're sharp. It's a long staircase. It's possible that you could, DIE, falling down the Supreme Court steps. And if that were to happen, perish the thought, it would be great if there were a Democrat in office to help possibly try and rewrite the ship that is right now the starboard listing SCOTUS. SCOTUS. docked on the Potomac, listing badly to starboard. They're going after the white whale of abortion. It's not even a white whale. They just did it. It's just like, yep, watch this. So I guess what Biden was weak to begin with. Biden only got elected because of a backlash to Trump. So there is a backlash building now against Biden. And it's because he's an awful fucking president. Like, he's terrible. And even if you go against, if you just like look at numbers of executive orders that he signed, number of judges that he is appointed, number of people that he has pardoned, like whatever the metric is, he's slow moving. And he's centrist. He's the most political politician. I'm maybe a little glad in some ways that he's not in full possession of his faculties. Let's see. Oh man, there's also, this reminds me, Roger Waters, who you will often see me wearing a Roger Waters hoodie of Pink Floyd fame, got into a, sort of put his foot in it a little bit in a conversation with Michael Smerconish, whatever. He said Taiwan was part of China. But he also did say some things that I know this makes this a very unpopular take, right? Like, and I don't believe that. Like, we don't have to be absolutists about everything. Like, we can't all be the sort of stalwart, unwavering pillars of ethical morality that Elon Musk is when it comes to free speech, unless it's at his expense. Right? There's nuance to things, and there are good reasons to understand that nuance. And did that? It did. That curtain fucking came down. Shouldn't have. That's what that noise was earlier, I guess. But the nuance here is that NATO, in my opinion, was provocative. And I know everybody hates it when I say that. There was no reason for Putin to invade. No reason for Putin to invade. However, like, we can't just like make everything black and white and just say, there's absolutely no understandable reason why this might be a provocative act. So, whatever, y'all. I didn't think he was putting his foot in it when he said that. I did think he was putting his foot in it when he said that Taiwan, the international community has always recognized Taiwan as part of China. But like, broadly, I felt like his point stands, which is we're interventionist when it comes to our own interests and isolationist when the same. And certainly like his take on the Israel-Palestine conflict, I think is a pretty good one. And I am a very firm supporter of the existence of Israel, but I am not a firm supporter of what the IDF is doing to Palestinians. So, another unpopular take. People don't like it. But he got really, really upset. Dude, that's pretty good for me. I'm seeing 30. So screw you, Daryl. And you're one of them. I specifically said this so you would rise to it, Pivy. All I'm saying is that it's all NATO's fault. Putin was just minding his own. Putin was just like minding his own business, being the peaceful, bear hunting, shirtless, grand dictator that he is. Just kind of hanging out. Then all of a sudden, what's going on? Donbass? What? Crimea? What? Shit. Next thing you know, NATO will break the agreement that they made when it was when the NATO agreement was made, not to encroach on Soviet territories. They're going to start doing it. PS stands for Putin Stan. No, whatever, man. I can be trolled, but I can't troll. I'm just saying it's good to have a sort of an understanding of the entire situation and not just be like, Russia bad, China bad. Like, it's just like, let's look at this from the point of view of like deep-rooted motivations and not just that person is evil. Well, I guess that's kind of hypocritical of me because like Elon Musk is evil, Donald Trump is evil, Jordan Peterson is evil. Yeah, I know this. I'm aware of this. Former Soviet Union. Did I not say former Soviet Union? But that's the whole point. Like when the Soviet Union was broken up, NATO was not supposed to, part of the agreement was not to encroach on former Soviet territories. It's not why NATO was created. So it could be seen as a provocative act. That's all I'm saying. It does not justify an invasion. Like, why can't we acknowledge that, like, why do we have to be so, I don't know. It feels like blinders to me. Like we just have to say this right, this wrong. And we can't say, no, yeah, this was wrong. But you know what? We also did some shitty things. Like, hey, you know what? It's been long enough. Like, 9/11 was in part stoked by American imperialism. We gave them the weapons. We gave them the motivation. That doesn't mean it was right. It's obviously wrong. Those two things can be true at the same time. Was it that referred to the Twin Towers as matching funeral urns for the bully who never learns? Keep our fucking noses out of other people's business. Why do we care so much about like certain African countries and certain African dictators, and we don't give a fuck about others? Like, can you draw a line there between like the reasons why? It's the same thing as the Middle East. It's all about like resources and control of those resources. How is it whataboutism? I'm not excusing it. I am pointing it out. Like, this thing is true. This other thing is also true. I'm not saying this is justified because what about this? Like, whataboutism would be if I was using that as an argument against it being wrong for Putin to invade the Ukraine. I'm not. You put it much more succinctly than I could, Pivy. Y'all aren't real countries. You're just ex-Soviet countries. When did I say this? Like, in what way am I saying this? Like, maybe what needs to happen is NATO needs to be dissolved. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Well, yeah, exactly. Right. Is that true? Is that actually true? Oh man, another great one. The Oots girl, and a great pun. I mean, it's true, right? What do you mean, why are we doing this? Like, shouldn't we strive to like understand the complexities of global situations and not just say, well, in the final rendering, this is what is right and this is what is wrong. So we're going to be on the side of who is right, right? Like, we can do both. I think it's going very well. I don't know what's the problem. We're at 29 viewers. I think we're doing wonderfully. Well, right. And what are those sovereign Russian territories? Is Sweden a sovereign Russian territory? Is Finland a sovereign Russian territory? I agree. And I feel like we need to look beyond the edge of our noses or the end of our noses when we're trying to figure out like why certain things seem to happen over and over again with just different names. I don't want you to pay me, Indigo. Hi, Indigo. All right, totally valid. That's a totally valid point, right? And were the shoe on the other foot, like I would be like, I mean, I am trying to imagine myself in the situation, and my imagination makes me say, I don't give a fuck about the nuance of it. This needs to stop, right? And it's clear who's in the wrong here, right? But I'm not. I don't feel like I'm. I guess I just don't feel like I'm going against any of that. I feel like I am. I'm agreeing with all of that. I'm doing a yes and. I'm doing an improv yes and. I think what the world thinks is different than what Putin thinks, right? And I don't think I just don't think you'd have the same kind of global reaction to invasions of certain countries, right? Like, and it's unfortunate, right? Like, and that's also wrong. but I think you would get like, let's just use America, right, as an example, because that's where I am, right? If there were a country that were considered more American, or more like culturally similar to America, I'm not even saying, I'm saying like in the mass mind of the United States, to a lot of people in America, like Eastern Europe is not like America. I'm not saying that's right. Like, what, this is pointing out what seemed to me to be truths that, whether I agree with them or not. But I seem to be like, it seems like people are saying that I'm saying this stuff because it's the way that I think things should be, instead of pointing them out and saying, it sucks that things are like this. Because that was not the agreement that was made when NATO was brokered. The deal was brokered for NATO with Russia that resulted in the breakup of Russia or the Soviet Union. It's like, I mean, if people's word is not worth anything, then okay. Wait a second. Hold on. Probably said something. Aw. Hey, I know who this is now. I know exactly who this is. It's been a while. Yeah. Okay. So, right. So because what they say doesn't matter, what we say doesn't matter. All right. I'm sorry. I feel like that's bullshit. Like, we should be examples of of the way things should be, not just adhering to like what the basest form of, and we're not, right? I'm not saying that we are. I'm saying that it would be nice if we were. It'd be nice if, when people made these sort of accords, that we stuck by their tenets. That's all. I'm pretty sure that it does, but perhaps I am. Am I gonna really read this up? Look this up right now. I will read it again. My recollection was that it did. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. I don't think Russia should give its blessing for any decisions for any sovereign country. I'm not making this argument. Okay. I completely agree with this. No, I don't. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's not what I'm saying at all. The only thing I'm saying is that it could be seen as provocative. That's all I'm saying. All right. Good night, Oxy. Is this not ASMR-y? I have these. Can we all be friends again? Can we at least agree that the U.S. provoked 9/11? Can we agree? Can we agree on that? If that didn't ring, I mean, it's funny in a way. It also feels like it might be true. I don't even know. Yeah, I'm assuming, Indigo, that you have partaken of the herb. It's not what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that your uncle survived. And me saying that I believe that the U.S. In part provoked that by being a global interventionist bully does not take away from the wrongness of the action. And just like me saying NATO expansion being provocative does not excuse, in my mind, Putin's invasion of Ukraine. And this is why I'm... I don't even get why that's funny. All right, I'm gonna double check this butterfly composer, because if that's correct, then what I'm saying is unfounded. But I'm pretty sure that I read it. Hold on a second. Hold on, I'll be right back. Whoops. Yeah, this is more about Crimea. This isn't really going to tell us anything about... I mean, Christ, Ukraine's a member of the United Nations. I can't possibly go through this again right now. But if what you say is true, Butterfly Composer, then what I'm saying isn't. Right? I think that it does. I don't think that that's a... I don't think that that's... Well, okay. I mean... I don't think it's useful at this point to like make analogies to like this happening over here. But one could make analogies to something like this happening over here. And it wouldn't really matter Like, if the United States didn't exist anymore, right, there would still be, people still have like cultural ties beyond the name, the name and border of their nation or group of nation states. All right, I'm going to look that up. Butterfly Composer. But I'm not going to do it now. I should just stick to talking about AI. See, but I don't think that I would have, like, I didn't fucking, I'm not getting pamphlets from the Politburo. I'm not, this is not, although, well, fuck it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Let's move on. How about that? I don't really have much to move on to. I can talk about, no, I can't move on. Like, I don't want to be combative. Well, that's what we're doing here, isn't it? Christ, I just don't see it this way. I just don't see it this way. But what am I going to do? Yeah, I get that. And it's in a live streaming situation, it is a little bit difficult because, like, I feel like I have to watch what I'm saying and be careful about the way I phrase things. What I really feel isn't necessarily what I'm expressing here. That's clear. That is clear. Yeah, but do I like you? No, I'm. Look, if anybody has the ability to kind of look at themselves and say, "Oh, I'm an idiot. I was wrong about that." It's definitely me. And I also have like a sort of historical. I'm not saying that people don't have this historical perspective, but if you're of a certain age, you have like a certain kind of perspective of perestroika and what has Russia done in the past 40 years, apart from Crimea, that has been expansionist. Oh, wait a second. Let's see. What's the... As Ukraine is embroiled in an ongoing struggle with Russia to preserve its territorial integrity and political independence, celebrated historian Serhiy Plokhy explains that today's crisis is a case of history repeating itself. The Ukrainian conflict is only the latest in a long history of turmoil over Ukraine's sovereignty. Situated between Central Europe, Russia, and the Middle East, Ukraine has been shaped by empires that exploited the nation as a strategic gateway between the East and West. Now, there's actually like an interesting point, too, because, right, isn't Russian access to the Baltic Sea means that Sweden is of strategic political interest to Russia? Isn't that true? I realize that's a truth against the argument I've been making. This revised edition includes new material that brings this definitive history up to the present, including the election of Vladimir Zelensky to the role of Ukraine. What? From the election of Vladimir Zelensky to the role of Ukraine in Trump's impeachment. As Ukraine once again finds itself at the center of global attention, Plokhy brings its history to vivid life as he connects the nation's past with its present and future. Serhiy Plokhy. He's Putin's nephew, by the way. But he promises that that did not color his interpretation of events. Why? The names change. The underlying psychological and monetary and strategic motives are the same. Like when you say history repeats itself, I don't think people mean history literally repeats itself, right? Apart from the Crimea, what country has Russia invaded and annexed and or colonized in the last since Perestroika? Let's see. Let's just say since 1982, going to the wonderful Christ. Hey, Russia's been around for a while. Jesus Christ, man. They have some lovely paintings of some of their wars. Say what you will about war. It has inspired some beautiful art. Go all the way to the bottom here, don't I? Azerbaijan, the Chechen rebels. That's the same. And Ukraine. I mean, that's the list here. Pretty short. Speaking of which, I saw Prey. I'm going to rub a bunch of people the wrong way now, too. No, that's on the list. The Georgia invasion is on the list here. It's right here. I forget. Was Georgia part of the Soviet Union? I don't actually forget. And it's not an excuse. So I saw Prey last week. Georgia exists. It's got Atlanta. Atlanta is fucking amazing and also a great TV show. Yeah, it was about the same time. So I saw Prey, and maybe this is because all I have heard is that it's great, but I didn't love it. I didn't love it. I'll tell you why. I'm not going to spoil. I mean, there's nothing to spoil. Right? There's nothing to spoil in a movie like that. Yeah, I'm not going to say who lives and who dies, and that's really all there is. Wait, what? I'm not on about the Soviet Union again. And it's not a reason to invade. Jesus. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say that. It's not a reason to invade. But you want to understand why things happen, right? I'm not talking about respecting the USSR. I'm talking about having an understanding culturally of why something may or may not have happened. But anyway, I'm going to talk about Prey. I'm not talking about Butterfly Composer. I got to read, I think reread, and maybe I do sometimes read Russian news sources, or I did, can no longer. So yeah, let me be sure that I got my facts right there. I probably don't. I probably don't. Anyway, here's what. Well, okay, so there's a few things. So, like, I watched Prey, and there were things about it that I didn't like, and then I read up on it, and reading up on it gave me some sort of additional respect for it, because originally, like, in watching it, the basic premise is, what if a predator came to Earth, specifically North America, pre the United States, right? So First Nations, specifically Comanche. Okay, but I'm moving on from this now. I'm gonna check my sources, because I want to be sure that I'm not reading propaganda, which you're saying I am. And even if I'm right, like, I still don't think this is a justification for invasion. And I just kind of feel like people are saying, like, you're saying that it was okay for Russia to invade Ukraine. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying it was wrong. But let's take a moment to understand the nuance of it as well. But you should care. You should care. Oh my God, this is a quagmire. The U.S. provokes everybody, right? And something like 9/11 happens, and we look around and we're like, why? Like, I don't. Yeah, I'm not going to get further into this. I just feel like it's so easy to vilify an entire. Shades of gray are a thing. I'm not playing devil's advocate, Nasha. There's a difference between playing devil's advocate and trying to understand the complexities of a situation that caused a global conflict. But I get it. Like, all we can do is say, Putin bad. I will fall in line. Putin bad. Taliban bad. Palestine bad. China bad. I get it. Because I have no self-control. So anyway, I watched Prey, and I liked. Well, okay, so there were some things about it that rubbed me the wrong way. A couple things about it that rubbed me the wrong way. One, like it looks crappy. Like it looks like it was shot like on some digital. Like it looks very digital. It does not have like a nice filmic look to it. And like in the establishing shots, they're trying to do this kind of grand thing, and to me it looks cheap and kind of drony, and like a B tier TV series. But it didn't start out great. Definitely not shot on film, which is fine, but you can shoot not on film and still have things look pretty good. Then, so it perplexed me that the choices that they made for how people spoke in that movie perplexed me, because the main character, like everybody spoke English, or rather the Comanche tribe spoke English generally, right? Sometimes they would speak in Comanche. They would have Comanche war cries or something like that, right? But 95% of the time they were speaking English. I'm not being drawn back into this, Pivy. And I'm not saying that anyone is childishly simple. I'm saying that it is reductionist to not take everything into account. That doesn't make it whataboutism. But I'm done. I'm out. So anyway, so 95% of the dialogue of that movie was in English. The Comanches spoke English. But then occasionally they would like do war cries in Comanche, or there were certain like elements where they would speak in Comanche, and they wouldn't translate. Now that kind of perplexed me a little bit, because the French fur trap, there's also like French fur trappers in it. They were speaking French, and so I was like, well, I guess I understand why they didn't do this whole movie with everybody speaking Comanche, because they went through a lot of trouble to like actually cast Comanche or First Nations actors, which I thought was pretty cool. And then after the movie, I read that they actually did do a fully Comanche version of it. Like, and I actually didn't go back and watch, but it made it sound like they shot every dialogue scene twice, which, if that's true, that's pretty impressive. Oh, is this? I keep getting asked about my in-ear monitors. They're just Shores. I mean, I don't even know what model they are actually. They're like $90, right? But they're much more expensive in-ear monitors. But these have been pretty durable. Like have not treated them well, and they've been pretty good to me. So I'm happy with them. I disagree with this, Maury, but I'm not going back into it. So I thought that it was odd, right, that they were speaking in English, but it wasn't so much. And then I saw that they actually did do like different versions, based on the languages, which I actually thought was pretty cool, and also like fucking expensive, right? Like it seems like that would be really expensive. Although, right, there is not a lot of dialogue in the movie, as you might suspect. Actually, I don't remember the model number, and I can't go through my fucking 400 Amazon orders from last year to try and find them. So I got this, right? Like if they wanted like the broad appeal, like I can understand the suspension of disbelief of, okay, let's just say they're going to be speaking English, and we're going to just sub in English for Comanche, so we can get funding, maybe, right? But they still spoke Comanche like in some spots, which made it like a little bit confusing to me, or not confusing, but like it took me out of it a little bit, right? And the fact that the French spoke French and it wasn't translated, I actually thought that was like a nice touch. It was like you were kind of in the role of the Comanche in that statement, that unless you knew French, right? They weren't telling you what the French trappers were saying, which I thought was kind of a cool. No, I know you can search your order history. I was making a joke. Yeah, but Nasha, they actually filmed the version in Comanche, which I didn't know when I watched it the first time. But I did think they should just go all one or the other, right? Like, okay, everything's in English. All the Comanche is in English. Okay, fine. The French is French because from the perspective of the Comanche warriors, they wouldn't understand what was being said by the French. So then we're putting the viewer in the shoes of the Comanches. That's fine. But just occasionally they would break into Comanche, which just seemed weird to me. And they wouldn't translate that either. It just seemed a little bit weird, but whatever. So it didn't look great. That disconnect was a little bit strange to me, but much more so than that, it was the idiom, especially the way the main character spoke. And I don't know, this is probably like just me. Like this probably has nothing to do. There's no inherent value in doing this one way or another way, but it very much sounded like someone just speaking modern day English. And I don't think they should have like gone back and like tried to speak English from the 15th, 16th century, whenever it was, 17th century. But I do think like maybe a little more formality in the delivery would, I guess the fact that it was like, that it was shot digitally and the CGI was pretty bad, especially like the non-Predator CGI. Like, and that's when you get to the uncanny valley, right? It's easier to do CGI on stuff that we don't have like a good reference for. So yeah, you can do like some crazy Predator looking thing that turns invisible and, you know, it's harder to spot, but then you just try to do like a bear, right? Like, and you're like, oh, that bear doesn't look so good. And that was sort of, you know, strange to me, right? Lexi and Jeff, good night. I hope that you have a nice walk. Indigo, can you get some water? What? Well, so they at least knew enough Comanche, or enough Comanche still exists that they were able to do this entire movie in it. So that's good. Yeah, not really. I mean, it's not like old English, but I think you get my point, right? Like it just was like some of the contractions and the sort of, I guess, informal ways of speaking were sort of very of the now, which just felt a little weird to me. The movie itself, like, fine. It was fine. I saw a lot of reviews talking about like the character development, and I didn't think the character development was particularly good. I thought there were a couple of things that I thought were well done, and the fight scenes were great, well done. I think the main actor, and I forget her name, like she was great. Some of the other actors were not so great, and so I think it's great that they cast Native Americans. Some of them, I think, it was pretty clear that those were maybe their first roles. They weren't quite up to par, like compared to the main character, and it kind of showed. it relied a lot. It did this thing, and I don't know. Like I wanted to know if this was intentional or not. Like I want to believe that this was intentional, but I don't know if it was. It had to be. It had to be. I'm not spoiling anything, but there's a scene very early on where the main character falls into a quagmire and is just covered in mud, right? Very early on. A very obvious throwback, right, to the first Predator, where Arnold covered himself in mud so that he would not have a heat signature. And in my head, then, of course, immediately I'm thinking, oh, okay, we're going to end up back here, probably in the final battle. We're going to end up back here, and just going to use the quagmire and the mud to not be seen by the Predator and to be able to deal the lethal blow unseen. That's not what happened. Quagmire ended up being used just like as a trap for the Predator. And I don't know if this was like thumbing their nose at the audience who's like, you think you knew what was going to happen, and we're going to subvert your expectations here. And we have a whole different way that we're making her not seen that has nothing to do with mud. And we're using this for an entirely different purpose. Now, if I accept that as intentional, then that was brilliant and great. I guess I just don't know if I do. I'm not sure if I do or not. Turns out there was a flower that looked a lot like tansy, like a blue tansy, but it's orange, that they would eat, and it would give you the chills or something and make you invisible to the Predator. These are not spoilers. These are things that happen within the first 20 minutes. Oh man, I really liked the first two Predator movies. Admittedly, the second Predator movie I probably liked just for nostalgia. Maybe even the first one. It's not like I went back and watched the first one to see if it held up. I don't want to do that. I've ruined enough things for myself by doing that already. I don't want to keep doing it. Ooh, I've been leaning on this. I've earned this. I've been dogpiled on. From the start. Well, Charlie, I liked Prometheus. Who thinks these taste like wax? These actually aren't licorice, right? There's no licorice in this at all. They're just shaped like licorice. No, Pivy, I'm with you. That's the LUT. The LUT that I have right now makes reds look darker. I don't know, actually. A little bit darker than they are. Yeah, the French were bastards. But anyway. Let me finish this. Prey worth watching. B. And I've been replaying BioShock Infinite. Game did not age well. Yeah, I agree with this. Like Alien Covenant kind of lost me. And I don't like licorice either. Like I don't like the flavor of licorice. And I haven't watched Sandman. I've heard I'm afraid to watch Sandman because there are very few comics slash graphic novels, etc., that I really like. I didn't get into a whole lot of them. They screwed up Preacher. Sorry. They did. I'm just afraid. I guess they didn't really screw up Walking Dead. I'm afraid that they're gonna destroy it, that it's gonna screw it up for me. Putting down anyone, hurting not one people for the roles. So Nasha, you've liked it. Okay. Well, that's a point in its favor. I love red vines. I mean, red vines are basically Twizzlers, aren't they? And an excellent Amy Mann song. Yeah, I've seen this. Yeah, and I'm aware that he's very involved, but that doesn't always mean I'm just scared. Yeah, but I'll watch it. I also just don't like that. Like, I don't like removing the version of people in. Although this, I guess this doesn't matter. It's a graphic. Yeah, it's a fucking comic. But like Lord of the Rings did this thing to me where like all the characters, and same thing with Game of Thrones, like I had this idea in my head of what all the characters were like. And now when I think about them, I don't think about, like I have to try really hard. I don't even think I can do it for Game of Thrones because it was not in my subconscious long enough before the TV show came out. I think those fictional visual creations, paper doll creations that I made in my head of all of the Game of Thrones characters, and they were just hopelessly eradicated by the TV characters. Lord of the Rings, I can still summon up the Gandalf that I imagined, and the Bilbo that I imagined, and the Frodo that I imagined, and the Gollum that I imagined. Not necessarily like the secondary characters. My Aragorn in my head looked more like was it Billy Boyd? It's one of the actors from Predator. No, I literally like Billy Boyd. I'm an idiot. Yeah, in my head, Aragorn looked more like Billy Soul from Predator. God, it's so damn hard to like just fucking show me. Yeah, Sunnyland him. Oh, he died. He died. Bummer. I actually thought that he was Native American. I didn't know he died. Bummer. But in my head, when I would see Aragorn in my head, that is what I saw. And I still remember that. And maybe that, now that I think about it, maybe that's because this is because the Ralph Bakshi cartoon. What did the Ralph Bakshi Aragorn look like? Oh my God. I screwed myself up. I thought I invented this, but yeah. The reason that Aragorn looked like... So this is the Aragorn from the Ralph Bakshi cartoon. That's a pretty close match. Oh, man. I can't believe that I tricked myself into thinking that I created my own version of Aragorn. God. That's silly. Pretty similar. Even the angles of the face. The eyes, very similar. Nose, not so much. But the eyes. Anyway, so maybe I am completely wrong about that. I wanted to do tonight, I wanted to argue with somebody about pronouns or wokeness or something like that. But I think we're all on the same page about that stuff. So in the beginning, I was hoping that the troll might make themselves a little more known. But when they did the Ardra profile picture, I know who that person is. They are a long-standing troll, unless they happen to know. I don't think. I think it's the same. Like, it's funny if you search on YouTube for Phoenician Sailor and Ardra Neela, there's a channel that this person created. No, it's not enough, because it's not enough because I don't feel anywhere near as certain about my position about what I did argue about. I also saw an outtake for Meaning of Life that I'd never seen. The Martin Luther, Terry Jones's Martin Luther outtake. It's too late now. I've lost it. All the fight's gone out of me. Now I'm just tired. I got something. Should I share it? Maybe I will share it. Huh? Now think about this. This is very impressive. There's no reason to be scared. A lot of you probably recognize this as a gimbal. And that is what it is. It's a gimbal. There is something. So a gimbal holds a camera, so you can kind of do whatever. And it keeps it nice and level and steady. And if you turn it, it gives you nice, steady movements. There's a reason, like, I have not bought a gimbal in a long time. You can also, obviously, use a joystick to kind of... I have not bought a gimbal for a very long time. And there's a reason. It's because I didn't think I needed one. It's a waste of money. But there is, on this particular gimbal, and now with this new... When a camera came out earlier this year called the Ronin 4D, This is made by Ronin. They make stabilizers, or DJI makes Ronin. Sorry. So this was made by DJI. The Ronin was a camera that was made by DJI. That was basically a gimbal with a camera attached, like the inverse of what usually you buy the gimbal, you attach your camera. This was the Ronin 4D was a gimbal first and a camera second, right? So there were a couple of things about, now you can see here, I'm a little out of focus there, aren't I? Oh. There are a few reasons why. Just set this like that. Let's see what happens if I go back to this camera. Okay, we'll put it right here like that for now. But pointed at me. Everything always pointed at me. Few reasons why I went in on this particular gimbal. Well, really, there's like one big reason. There's two reasons. The what they call a Raven-Eyes system. So that's this thing that you see here at the bottom. See these two antennae coming off here? It's this little unit that I can slide off and it kind of comes off. And now you're probably like, well, what the hell is that? Who cares? But that is a wireless image transmitter. Okay. And there's also, which I don't have yet because nobody has it yet. Can't get it. It's not in stock anywhere. There is a LiDAR attachment to this. So when I get the LiDAR attachment for this, and I'm using the Raven-Eyes attachment, what that means is that I can have the HDMI out of this camera going to a live stream, right? Then I can have, what they have is this thing called Active Track. Let's see if we can get it to work real quick. No, don't want silent mode. Did not ask for silent mode. I don't know the menus very well. It says no video input. Oh, I didn't turn on the Raven-Eyes. Let me turn on the Raven-Eyes. Is it on? Can't see it, really. Gotta turn it around here to really see it. Ah, okay. Raven-Eyes is now on. So why does that matter? You ask. And you're right to ask. Oh, the battery's about to die, so this isn't gonna. Oh shit, the battery almost just died. Why should you care about Raven-Eyes? Well, maybe you shouldn't, except for the fact that I can. Oh, I can't do it from here. I can pick something and track it. I don't know if you see what's happening right now. Whoops. I went out of frame too quickly. Sorry, gotta do it again. As I move, the camera follows me. This lens is it's not meant to be tracking me when I'm this close. I move, the camera moves. So I could have this hooked up to my live stream adapter, right? I could have this in my basement, just like on a tripod, right? Tracking me, and I can like walk in circles around. I could walk anywhere, and the camera will follow me, and the LiDAR will focus on me. So no more of this static background that you see right now. I could still follow me, see? It's not doing a great job of keeping me in the center. But I'm chalking that up to the fact that I'm way too big. I need to be further. I can't really like see my face. Like the square around me is the entire frame right now. So imagine that. It would be like there is a live camera person who is tracking me as I walk around. And he uses LiDAR for that, which is amazing. Yes, this does. It heralds a bit back to the conversation I had on facial recognition, because I'll tell you what, when I set up this Raven Eyes thing, I had to agree to like allow it to track across my phone, because what it actually does is go to my phone. There's the Ronin app on the phone. Excuse me, you. I just thought this was so cool. Yes, connect to Raven Eyes. Got it. Can I actually connect to it here, don't I? Wi-Fi, Raven Eye. It even says weak security on it. It's got some weak-ass security. And then bam. Oops. Oops. Jesus Christ, man. Let me get this right before I... Disconnected. Why disconnected? Don't be disconnected. This is really neat. If I can get it to work. The other thing is, it's version 1, right? And DJI is really good about updating stuff. And they're going to need to update quite a bit here, to be honest. Come on. I'm losing the audience here. Stop connecting to free Wi-Fi. Connect to Raven Eye. Thank you. Connect to Raven Eye. There you go. Now I can have it track me. I can control it from here. Why is it taking me through like a fucking... It wants me to disable Bluetooth. Okay, that's fine. That doesn't bother me at all. Okay, select my face. Whoa, it's going nuts. Oh, it's recentering, sorry. But I can also control it like from my phone. You can see now it's pointed at the camera that is pointed at me right there, next to another camera on top of a speaker. There's stuff, all the stuff. You're not really seeing this, are you? There was a way to control enable joystick. How do I enable joystick? That should be like super simple. It doesn't seem to want to let me do it. Enable joystick. Thank you. Gosh. So now I can control it from the phone. Oh, it's pointed up at my hair light. Anyway, the point is eventually... Oh, it's going upside down. Don't need it to go upside down. Eventually we'll be able to have it arranged in such a way that I will be able to have dynamic camera motion. It's all you. This camera's actually about to run out of battery. So I'll turn you off. But the gimbal, and it's whisper quiet, which I was not expecting. I was expecting there to be some noise, but do ASMR with this, no problem at all. Love it. I love it. The LiDAR focusing is pretty amazing because, one of the problems with these Blackmagic cameras that I'm using is they don't have autofocus, right? So I'm in focus when I'm sitting here. I go like that, I'm out of focus. This has a follow focus motor that just attaches right here, and it uses LiDAR to turn any lens into an autofocus lens, which is pretty freaking amazing. So I can't wait to get that up and running, but just got it recently. I've just started playing with it. And I will also be able to get good B-roll shots. Oh, that did not. It's supposed to lock like that. Okay. And now it should be, totally locked, which is also pretty cool. And then when you're using it, you can collapse that, like that. But then you can just kind of pop it down anywhere. It's a great gimbal. It's very neat. It's very light. They finally got it to where I feel like I needed it to be where I needed it to be in order for me to get it. What else has been going on? I've been working on that same song. Exact same thing. So that's the main section. And I feel like I've gotten to a point now where I'm like kind of stuck. Like I'm kind of like just going over stuff over and over again because there are a few parts that I just like. There was this part that was just supposed to be like an intro to when I'm going. Before you go into that. But then I was like, how does it go? Oh. But then I started getting into this part. And then I wanted to have key changes there. So I was thinking, okay, when this is happening, you could follow that by going. Right, so. So that happening while this is happening. And then it follows that. And then the tail end of that, it would modulate up. So it would go. A couple times. But then it would go. I'm fucking it up. would do something similar here, like. I haven't really figured that out yet. Ooh. And then from there, go into a descending part that will go from that. So. And then back into that. But then I've like created like 4 separate parts, including 2 distinct key changes or 2 distinct modulating parts for what's supposed to be like a intro section to the main melody, which again is supposed to be. And then have another key change there that goes to major. And then I was thinking about how to speed up these arpeggios. So I could play them double time. And I was thinking, okay, well, I can play that like that, but it's not very efficient because I'm plucking every note. So how do I make more of that more legato? And that's easy to make more legato. So legato is like plucking one note, and then like here I'm just plucking the bass note of each part of the run. It makes you play runs faster and have them sound smoother. So turning that into something more legato, I was thinking, okay, how could that be more legato? Well, right there, that makes that part more legato. And then those notes, well, those 2 notes are the last 2 strings open. So why am I going to bother if I could just go? So then it's, and there you've legatoized, made much faster that initial part of the run, if I can play it right. All right. But the rest of it is, all right, so just a hammer on. So, but the whole thing is, right? So how can I legatoize the rest of that? And that's just, and then like most of those notes are open strings or hammer-on. So when I play it like this, I'm only striking, like with my right hand, I'm only striking like 5 notes instead of where I'm striking every note. It's just, unfortunately, the modulated sections. isn't quite, you can't legato it quite as much because you don't have the open strings. But it is still better. I was doing it this way. But if I do it like this, then I'm removing about half of the right hand strokes. If I can get it clean. A lot quicker than this. Right? So it's all about like trying to, and then the last one, do the same thing, right? Because that's just, although actually, yeah, the shape's a little different. So that's what I was worried about that, because I was like, well, this that sounds good played at one speed, but then this doesn't sound good played at that speed. So my options were to either accelerate and retard it as I play, which provides problems in my DAW, my digital audio workstation, if I want to do stuff on top of it, which I do, or I could try and hit it double time. There's no way I can cleanly hit that double time unless I legatoize it. So I still got to work on those to get up to there, but I think I can do it. So it's weird because I've been working on this thing for weeks, and I don't usually do that. I will work on something for maybe 2 weeks tops and then move on. But new stuff just kind of keeps coming to me, and I really like the and that, I haven't even gotten to that. And I love this guitar. I really do. But I love the way it sounds. And I love the way it feels. It's very precise, but it does not let you make mistakes. Like, it is not forgiving in that way, right? Like this is one of those guitars where you think you can play something, and then you play it on this guitar, and then you're like, ooh, I actually cannot play that. If you want to play something fast and easy, play it on that guitar. Or even a, steel string acoustic I have over there. But if you get it right on this guitar, it sounds fucking awesome. And also, I just love playing it. I could just sit here all day playing it, just playing the. I'm not gonna, because I get dinged when I do like anything. everything, all Terega, I think, is copyrighted still, so I can't even do it. I even think that will get me dinged. Please don't forget to check out Love Chat XYZ, the best adult dating site. I got a DM. I got a DM the other day that was funny. It was offering me, it said, I would like to offer you $73,000 for your channel. The Phoenician Sailor channel. So I responded, yes, please, I would like to accept your offer. And then they were like, the response was, is your channel monetized? I just thought it would be funny to see how that played out. You know, you always get like those emails that are like, I love your channel. We think you would be a great fit for this brand. Please send us an idea of like what your rates are for this thing. Often raid Shadow Legends. Obviously, they've never, they're all form letters. They're just spamming them out. Yeah, honestly, if someone offered me $73,000 for it, I would take it and just start another channel. The copyright is expired. Well, I wouldn't trade this channel. Ava, 15 books in 2 months? Call me when you read 200 books in a year to study climate change when you're on a subcommittee for some Canadian. You're one of many people that are part of a subcommittee submitting a paper for some Canadian law, like Jordan Peterson. He read 200 books. And he didn't sleep for 24 days straight. I mean, I think about like the guitar I could buy for 72 grand. That's pretty much what I think about. Guitar players, especially live guitar players, If your guitar's out of tune, stop fucking about with it. It's the G string. It's always the G string. Like, stop wondering, like, is it this string? No. It's not that string. It's always your G string. That's the one. Always going to be your G string, especially if you don't have, if you have dual sets, if you have sets of tuners on either side. This one right here, this asshole, is never going to stay in tune. Oh, Les Paul, acoustic guitar. It's always your G string. Stop wondering. You don't need to sit there. It's always that one. Oh. I say as my bottom E is out of tune. Oh, I got it wrong. I love there's certain chords that I love. I love that. I love it. Just give me. Squeaky, the finger squeak. A lot of people hate that. I really enjoy it. Like, a lot of people really try and remove that. They spray a lot of lubricant on the strings, which just dulls them. And like, it removes some of the humanity when you don't have that squeaky sound. I like it too. Pivy, are you falling asleep? Ugh. What do you want me to play? Raisin in the Sun? Eesh. I'm not a Violent Femmes fan. I always kind of left the dance floor whenever the club would play Raisin in the Sun. Pixies, but that's pretty much anything. There is I forget how to play it. Shit. I should be figuring stuff out. So You and Your Sister, it's a Chris Bell song. He was from Big Star. And then Kim Deal and This Mortal Coil, Kim Deal from the Pixies, covered it. It's a beautiful song. Say my love for you's not real. You say my love for you's not real. But you don't know how real it feels. All I want to do is to spend some time with you, so I can hold you, hold you. Something like that. Beautiful song. Really simple. All right, this is at least I'm more relaxed now. I was on edge. Because y'all think Putin is bad, and I think he's lovely, a lovely human being. I'm not really in the playing mood, but the gimbal, what'd y'all think of the gimbal? That was great, wasn't it? That's enough to unite. That's enough for us to, we can be united in our appreciation of what an amazing gimbal that is. I don't have to worry about anything else. Gimbal. All right, let me take a thumbnail. Is that good? Let me move the phone out. Am I even in focus? Or should it be the thumbnail? There's your best thumbnail. There it is, right there. Derek, that edge. Very, very edgy. So, I hope everybody's well, and I, respect and love you all, and I only want there to be peace in the world. I think our disagreements are only in, how best to reach that peace. But we all have the same goal. So, hope you all have a good night. And I'm gonna go to sleep, I suppose. That's what I'm gonna do. Go to sleep. All right. Sweet dreams, everybody.